Hi, I'm Margarette, and along with my colleagues Ira and Lory Stel, we will be discussing Republic Act 10591, also known as the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulation Act. The purpose of this act is to maintain peace and order and protect the people against violence. The state also recognizes the right of its qualified citizens to self-defense through the use of firearms only when it is the reasonable means to repel the unlawful aggression under the circumstances. To start this discussion, let us first define what firearm is. Firearm refers to any handheld or portable weapon that expels or is designed to expel a bullet, shot, slug, missile, or any projectile which is discharged by means of expansive force of gases from burning gunpowder or other form of combustion or any similar instrument or implement. Firearms are divided into two categories: the light weapons and the small arms. The first category, the light weapons, are classified into two: Class A light weapons and Class B light weapons. Class A light weapons are guns not exceeding caliber 7.62 mm, which have fully automatic mode. On the other hand, Class B light weapons are weapons designed for use by two or more persons serving as a crew, or rifles and machine guns exceeding caliber 7.62 mm and mortars of a caliber of less than 100 mm. The second category of firearms is the small arms. The small arms are the firearms intended to be or primarily designed for individual use, or that which is generally considered to mean a weapon intended to be fired from the hand or shoulder, which are not capable of fully automatic burst of discharge. Like handguns, that as the term suggests, refers to a firearm intended to be fired from the hand. This includes a pistol and a revolver. A rifle, referring to a shoulder firearm or a firearm designed to be fired from the shoulder. And lastly, a shotgun, that refers to a weapon designed, made, and intended to fire a number of ball shots or a single projectile through smooth bore by the action or energy from burning gunpowder. A Filipino citizen, at least 21 years old, has gained work, occupation, or businesses, or has filed an income tax return for the preceding year as a proof of income, profession, business, or occupation. For additional requirements, the applicant shall submit the following certification issued by the appropriate authorities attesting that number 1, the applicant has not been convicted of any crime involving moral turpitude. Number 2, the applicant has passed the psychiatric test administered by a PNP accredited psychologist or psychiatrist. Number 3, the applicant has passed the drug test conducted by an accredited and authorized drug testing laboratory or clinic. Number 4, the applicant has passed a gun safety seminar which is administered by the PNP or a registered and authorized gun club. Number 5, the applicant has filed in writing the application to possess a registered firearm which shall state his or her personal circumstances. Number 6, the applicant must present a police clearance from the city or municipality police office. And lastly, number 7, the applicant has not been convicted or is currently unaccused in a pending criminal case before any court of law for a crime that is punishable with a penalty of more than 2 years. A permit to own a firearm is different from a permit to carry the firearm outside of residence. A permit to carry firearms outside of residence shall be issued by the chief of the PNP or his or her duly authorized representative to any qualified person whose life is under actual threat or his or her life is in imminent danger due to the nature of his or her profession, occupation, or business. The ones considered in imminent danger due to the nature of their profession, occupation, or business are the following: members of the Philippine Bar, certified public accountants, accredited media practitioners, cashiers and bank tellers, priests, ministers, rabbi, imams, physicians and nurses, engineers, and businessmen who by nature of their business or undertaking are exposed to high risk of being targets of criminal elements.
Hi, I'm Lory Stel, and I will discuss about registration and licensing of firearms, acquisition, deposit of firearms, abandoned, and antique firearms. How can you lawfully acquire firearms? Register. Only small arms may be registered by a licensed citizen or licensed juridical entities. A light weapon shall be lawfully acquired or possessed exclusively by the AFP, PNP, and other law enforcement agencies. How to register firearms? Comply with requirements, pay required fees, get certificate of registration. The license granted include license to possess ammunition with maximum of 50 rounds for each registered firearm. If you're a licensed sports shooter, you can be allowed to possess more ammunition. A qualified person shall apply for a permit to transport his registered firearm from his residence to the firing range and competition sites. How long is the validity of the registration and license? License to possess firearms shall be renewed every 2 years. In case of failure to renew before date of expiration, license and registration of the firearm will be revoked. The registration of the firearm shall be renewed every 4 years. Failure to renew before the expiration date shall result to the revocation of license of firearm. The said firearm shall be confiscated in favor of the government after due process. If the failure to renew of the 2 licenses happens in 2 occasions, the holder of the firearm cannot file for any firearm license perpetually. Application for renewal of license and registration should be done within 6 months before the date of expiration. Firearms and ammunition should only be purchased from authorized dealers, importers, or local manufacturers. A person arriving in the Philippines who legally possesses any firearm or ammunition in his country of origin and who has declared that a firearm is in his possession but it is not registered in the Philippines can deposit it for safekeeping. He can apply for the issuance of a permit to transport if he is a competitor in a sports shooting competition. You want to keep your firearm safe? You can do so. Any licensee may deposit a registered firearm to the Firearms and Explosives Office of the PNP or any police regional office. Reasonable fees for storage will be collected. However, a firearm or ammunition deposited when not reclaimed by the owner or his or her authorized representative within 5 years is considered abandoned. Then, it shall be disposed in compliance with established procedures. What if the registered owner of the firearm died? The firearm should be delivered to the FEO of the PNP or Police Regional Office and shall be retained by the police custodian while the license and registration is pending. Failure to deliver the firearm or ammunition within 6 months after the death of the previous licensee shall make the possessor liable for illegal possession of firearm. What if you want to keep an antique firearm? Register it and secure a collector's license. Proper storage of antique firearms shall be strictly imposed. In case of non-compliance, it shall be considered as illegal possession of the firearm and will be penalized.
My name is Ira, and I'm going to talk about the punishable acts of RA 10591. Let's go! Number 1. Unlawful acquisition or possession of firearms and ammunition committed by any person who shall unlawfully acquire or possess. Small arm, which is primarily designed for individual use. The punishment is 8 years and 1 day to 10 years. Class A light weapon, not exceeding caliber 7.62 mm, which have fully automatic mode. The punishment for this firearm is from 10 years and 1 day to 12 years. Class B light weapon, which refers to weapons designed for use by 2 or more persons serving as a crew. The punishment is from 20 years and 1 day to 40 years. Now, let's move on to the second one. The use of loose firearm. Are you wondering what is a loose firearm? RA 10591 called the unregistered firearm as loose firearm and defined it by enumeration to refer to an unregistered firearm, unobliterated or altered firearm, firearm which has been lost or stolen, illegally manufactured firearms, registered firearms in the possession of an individual other than the licensee, and those with revoked licenses. Now, the penalty depends upon whether the firearm is a small arm or a Class A or B weapon, on the number of weapons possessed, and on whether the things possessed is a part of the firearm or ammunition. Let's keep going! The third punishable act is the use of an imitation firearm. The use of an imitation firearm in the commission of a crime shall be considered a real firearm, and the person who committed the crime shall be punished accordingly. What about the injuries caused on the occasion of the conduct of competitions, sports, games, or any recreation activities involving imitation firearms? Well, it is not punishable under RA 10591. The fourth punishable act is carrying registered firearm outside residence without a permit to carry. When you carry your registered firearm outside your residence without a permit to carry, the punishment for the violation is 6 months and 1 day to 6 years of imprisonment and a fine of 10,000 pesos. And finally, we are down to the last one, arms smuggling. Do you know that arms smuggling refers to the import, export, acquisition, sale, delivery, movement or transfer of firearms, their parts and components, and ammunition? across the territory of one country to that of another country. You will be punished for 20 years and 1 day up to 40 years. Thank you so much for watching!
firearms used in sports and competitions.
In order to qualify and acquire a license to own and possess a firearm or firearms and ammunition, the applicant must be